Hi, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a get to know me and kind of just talking about how I got started on YouTube. So I'm super grateful for all of you who have subscribed. If you haven't already, make sure that you do that below. And I just thought it would be fun especially since we've kind of hit that first milestone for like brand new YouTubers like me of 100 subscribers. I thought it'd be fun just to do kind of like a get to know me, because I haven't really put up like really anything about me on my YouTube channel yet. It's mostly just been like grocery hauls or clean outs and cook with me's and those kinds of things. So I just thought it'd be fun to do a little bit of a get to know me. So I grew up in Utah and Michigan. I was born in Utah and lived there until I was 12, and then I moved to Michigan when I was 12 and lived there until I graduated high school. And when I was growing up, I did lots of things with my family. I loved being home. I loved learning how to cook. I started cooking from a super young age, and that was something I always really enjoyed doing. I also, from the time I was young, have also been very like frugal and have always wanted to find good deals on things. So those are some things that like you'll see come across on my channel that have definitely been a part of my life for basically as long as I can remember. And also, as I was growing up, my family, especially as I was a little bit older, did travel quite a bit. And that was something that I really enjoyed, and something that I also have brought like into my own family and how we raise our girls is by traveling a lot. Also, as a kid, I was super involved in lots of things. I did sports pretty much from kindergarten all the way through my senior year of high school. When I was in high school, I actually did more like kind of serious sports. My high school wasn't that big, but it was the biggest in the area. And so there definitely were lots of opportunities for me to do lots of things. In high school, I played basketball for a few years. I played volleyball for a few years. I threw shot put and discus all 4 years of high school, and I was on the bowling team for a couple of years. I mostly did that because some of my best friends were on the bowling team, and so I just wanted to do something fun with them. So those are some things that I did sports-wise in high school. I also was on it was called Knowledge Bowl, I believe. And it was basically just like smart kids going around and answering trivia questions, and they played it on like our local like PBS station. So that was something fun that I also enjoyed doing. Again, I did it with some of my friends, and I also was in a lot of like AP classes, and I did really well in school. I really enjoyed school, and that had always been something that I loved from the time I started school, like in preschool and kindergarten. And when I was in first grade, I decided I wanted to be a teacher. And that was a goal that I had and knew that I wanted to do from the time I was young. I didn't know exactly what kind of teacher I wanted to be, but as I got older, I decided I wanted to teach elementary school as I got kind of more experience in classrooms. And so I came back out to Utah to go to school, and I went to BYU and got my bachelor's degree in elementary education. Also, while I was getting that degree, I met and married my husband while we were both still finishing up our undergrad degrees. And after we graduated, I taught first grade for 3 years. And during my third year of teaching, I got pregnant with our first after a year and a half of infertility. And I was originally, when I got pregnant with her, I was planning on staying for another year of teaching just to get to the next level of my teacher licensing credentials. But then some things happened kind of at the end of that third year of teaching that made it so I didn't really want to go back to the classroom if I didn't have to. So luckily, my income from teaching was just supplemental. It was just extra money. We didn't need it to live on. And so I was able to come home and stay home and just be a stay-at-home mom, which I loved. I loved being home with Lucy. I loved, planning and going grocery shopping together. I loved cooking together. I loved, taking care of our house and cleaning, and kind of doing all those things were things that I just really enjoyed, and things that I had enjoyed and had skills in from, the time I was little. And then I really started to develop a lot of those skills as I was a teenager and as I was kind of living on my own and as a newlywed. So those are all things that I have been doing for a long time. I've really enjoyed doing them, and it was just fun to be a stay-at-home mom. I really, really enjoyed it. And it was something that I had always wanted to do. And so I was glad that I was able to finally do that. So when I got pregnant with Lucy, because I stopped teaching at like the end of May and she wasn't born until the fall, I had basically a super long extended summer, and where I was by myself, like not really, I didn't have a job. I didn't, we had a small apartment, so I could only clean it so much. I could only nest so much. And so I was just trying to find like something else that I could do, another way that I could learn and kind of keep my mind engaged a little bit more. And I don't even remember how, but I started following a few vloggers on YouTube just as something to kind of start making like other connections and see how other people were, what they were doing while they were pregnant or how they were preparing for their babies and kind of those kinds of things. I was looking for some of that kind of like first time mom information. And that's when I started watching YouTube videos of like vloggers. I watched a lot of family vloggers during that time. I also watched a lot of just like lifestyle channels and kind of homemaking channels and food types of channels. And I just really started really enjoying like watching them and being excited to see what new content was coming out from people. And I kind of had in the back of my mind, I'm like, this would be something cool to do someday. This might be something that I could do as a stay-at-home mom. That could just be like a fun project for me to work on. It could be just some kind of like creative outlet for me, give me something else to do that's not, that's just not the mom stuff and the homemaker stuff. So that kind of thought came into my head, but I didn't ever really take anything like too seriously. And then after my daughter's first birthday, I just felt super lost. I didn't know like what I was doing. I still loved being a mom. I loved doing homemaking things, but I just felt that my brain wasn't as active as it had been in previous years. And, like when I was teaching, when I had a job, when I was interacting with a lot more people besides just my daughter, which was fine. But I just felt like my brain was slowly turning to mush. So, I started looking into going back to grad school. It was something that going back to school to go to grad school. It wasn't something that in my grand life plans, I'd never really intended to go to grad school. It wasn't ever something that I was like overly interested in until I was kind of in my senior year of college. And I took a class from a professor who was also a mom, and she told us a lot in her class about her experience going back to school, getting her PhD, and doing it like with her kids at her side, and kind of how it was like a family effort and something that like brought them closer almost together as a family, because it was something that was hard that they got through as a family that she was able to do. And so that kind of gave me the idea that, oh, well, maybe I could go to grad school and maybe I could do that. That sounds like that would be something that would be interesting to me. And then kind of at the end of my teaching career, my elementary teaching career, when I didn't really want to go back to the classroom, I thought to myself, well, I don't want to have to go back to the classroom unless I absolutely have to. And if there could be any way that I could, get another degree, get some other education to have other skills and other like job qualifications, so I wouldn't have to go back into the public school classroom, that's something that I would prefer to do. So kind of these things started like coming into my mind of, grad school could be a possibility for me. And then where my husband works, he works at a university. And after you work there for so many years, you are able to have tuition benefits for your spouse and for your dependents. If I was able to get into a master's program, my tuition would be covered by the university. And so that was also a big motivating factor in me to be like, oh, this is a really big and really good like opportunity for me to get my master's degree, because it could be paid for. And, it would just be a really good time for me to do it. So after Lucy turned 1, I definitely was feeling super lost, super scared. But I was preparing and trying to get ready to take the GRE so that I could get into grad school. And I was able to do that. I got my GRE results, and I was able to get into the instructional psychology and technology program at BYU. And this is a field that I was interested in as an undergrad. I was a teaching assistant for an undergrad IP&T class about curriculum design and assessment. And I really, really enjoyed being a TA for the class and enjoyed teaching it and helping students. And so that was something it was a field that I knew about and I was interested in doing. And basically the track that I took within that program was focusing on design and development, which is a lot of creating and designing learning opportunities, whether that's in like a museum setting, in a curriculum setting, in, you know, public schools, at universities, at corporations, in private sectors. It's basically designing learning experiences. And that's something that I've always loved education, and I loved being able to kind of continue and stay in that educational field without necessarily having to be in a public school classroom. So I started that program right before Lucy turned 2, and I only went part-time, and it was a really, really good experience. I learned so much, and I met really, really great people. And kind of that whole time while I was in grad school, this YouTube idea just kept coming back to me and coming back to me and coming back to me. And, you know, that idea was just there that, you know, especially with the skills that you're learning with being an instructional designer and knowing how to present learning material and how to like teach people and help people learn, like this could be a really good platform for you to utilize those skills that you're learning. So like I kept thinking like, okay, after I graduate, this is something that I need to do. So I was going through my program. It took me 3 years to do. I was also working part-time as an instructor for an intro to coding class for pre-service teachers, which was super, super fun and definitely was a skill that I did not have going into my program, and something that I learned, you know, how to do some basic programming and basic coding, which is something that I'm super grateful that I know how to do. and something that I would not have ever been interested in or done if I hadn't gone into this program and had the opportunity to teach this class. So I went part-time, and about halfway through my second year, I got pregnant with Isla. And it was right in the middle of COVID. And again, it was something that we had wanted, but because of our infertility with Lucy, we weren't sure how long it would take us to actually get pregnant and have another kid. And so we decided, well, you know, I only have about 1.5 years left. I'm about halfway through. So let's just start trying now. So that way, you know, if it does take a long time, that's great. If it's sooner, you know, I'm almost done with school and I won't be, you know, it would only be like basically 1 year left by the time I actually had the baby. So, and we actually were able to get pregnant very quickly, which was exciting and also slightly terrifying that it happened way sooner than we were expecting. And so I was pregnant through that second semester of my second year. And I also took a couple of extra classes in the spring to make sure that I could graduate on time and have a slightly lighter class load after I actually had the baby. So I had Isla in July, and had about 6 weeks between the time she was born and the time I needed to start back at school for my last year. And then I was able to do my final year. It was definitely the hardest year by far. As I was working on my project, I spent a lot of hours away from my family on campus trying to work and stay up on my studies, stay up on my work responsibilities, and also working on my project, which was designing a new course for pre-service early childhood education majors in technology. So it was a really, really fun course to develop. I really, really enjoyed it. But it definitely was a lot of work. And so in April of this year, I graduated with my master's degree in instructional psychology and technology with an emphasis in design and development. And it is one of my proudest accomplishments that I've ever done, and something that I am just really proud of because it was a lot of work. And I'm also proud of everything that I was able to learn and the new skills that I was able to learn as well. So after I graduated, I'm like, okay, I don't really have a job. I didn't really want a job. I was super burnt out. And so that thought just kept coming back to me. You need to start a YouTube channel. And so I started, and my last semester I took a video production class because I knew that YouTube was something that I might consider doing. And so I took a video production class, which was super interesting and really helpful, mostly because it forced me to start practicing. And so after I graduated, we left on a week-long trip to celebrate my graduation, and my husband also graduated with his second master's degree around the same time. And so we just took a family trip together, and before we left, I scheduled my first video to go up, which just was a video that I had made in my video production class. and I scheduled that, and I just committed to myself that I'm going to put out a video every week and just tried to work on things and tried to figure stuff out. So as I've gone through the summer, I have missed a few weeks because of sickness or because of traveling, and I wasn't able to be organized enough to get a video out ahead of time. But as we've kind of come into the fall, I've started to learn more about a better workflow, kind of learning how to get my videos put together and edited and uploaded, and kind of started to get a good idea and a good flow and a good rhythm of those things. And it's something that I've really enjoyed doing, and something that I have found very fulfilling and very exciting to be able to create and put out content in this way. This is something that, again, I never would have thought that I would enjoy, talking to a camera and sharing what I know and sharing things about my life, because I am a super big introvert, but I love teaching and I love helping people. And so I thought this was a good way to kind of marry a lot of those things, where I can still share, I can still help, I can still teach, and help people learn things, and give people new ideas. But I can do it in a way that still lets me be a mom and still lets me be home full time. And it's just something that I am really enjoying. So thank you so much for subscribing. It really does mean a lot to me. To see how many subscribers and to read comments and to comment back to you is just something that's really fun, and something that I didn't realize and know how fun it would actually be when I started this channel. So thank you again for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing if you would like to. I do lots of homemaking things. I do grocery hauls. I'm going to be coming up with some cooking with me videos and some recipe ideas. And I'm hoping to do some meal planning and sharing my favorite things and just kind of stuff that goes on in my life that I love talking about and sharing with my friends and my family, because the things that I'm sharing on YouTube are definitely things that the people in my real life definitely hear about from me all the time. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.